Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Variety Hour. We're back the second time this week, and it's been a busy day today because the AFL had its Let's Brief the Media on what we're thinking, and it turns out they weren't really thinking. So joined to go through all of this. A lot's happened, actually, this week. We've got Francis Leach, the greatest sports broadcaster in Australian history.
And you know it, Titus. Thank you.
It's about time someone recognised that, right? And former Bannerman.
I really need a better byline.
I know.
Game day humorist.
What are we going to call you? Well, stand-up comedian.
Stand-up comedian's good.
Par excellence.
Premiership bannerman.
Yeah, that's right. Danny McGinley.
Hello.
Danny, we should mention you're up in, by the time most people are listening to it, but they've still got time.
Yep.
Friday night, you're in Brisbane.
At the Sit Down Comedy Club, Friday and Saturday, debuting my new show, Premiership Hangover. Still some tickets available, especially for Saturday.
Is this like your JLT Community Series performance?
No, not at all. Brisbane is a very important market, and I love playing it, so they're getting a proper show.
Well, there'll be a crowd. That's probably where it differs to the JLT.
Yeah.
And, that'll be good. So you're just doing Friday night, sorry? Or?
Friday and Saturday.
And Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 nights.
Good
Really
luck. As I say in the business, chookers.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's gone all show
Yeah, already.
all right.
I kind of
Hollywood Francis Leach over here. How are the Oscars?
see 2 nights in a row with you.
Well, no, the crowd don't have to stay for the second night.
Oh, you have to go to both.
I thought it was a lock-in. You just
Yeah.
Yeah, some people say comedy show. I say hostage situation.
I've been to a few comedy shows like that.
Yeah.
Not yours, but others. And we should also plug... Well, secondly, we'll cover it before we get to Francis because he's got 2 really good gigs to plug. You and I'm adding me into this, we're doing the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
We are. Not together, but
Not
you can do the
together.
double up.
You can do... Have we worked it out? I'm trying to work out where we're competing.
You're on at 8:30.
Yeah, and you're on at 9:30, right?
Yeah,
No,
and
can
if,
do
provided
both.
you wrap up.
I'm going to wrap up early.
There you go.
Like
Bang.
maybe I'll just do 10 minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
If
Come
it's-
on down.
I've got 10 minutes of material so far.
There we go. You could spread that over half an hour, and then come down and do the variety hour double up. We need a better title.
Well, it means I can wander down and watch your show afterwards if there's free beer.
There better be. Only reason why. No, we're coming along.
Oh, of course, there's free beer for
Moral
you too.
support.
So you can go onto the Comedy Festival. Have quite a good website if you want to buy tickets.
comedyfestival.com.au.
Yep, everything's there, and I love people to come down. That kicks off the end of this month, so just sort of ahead of Easter.
Yep.
What's
April
your
10 to
date?
22.
You're April 10. I'm starting March 29th.
Yep.
I just work harder, that's all I'm saying.
Marathon Man, 21 shows.
I also need to. I'm not as good. Now, Francis, you've got 2 incredibly...
Yeah, these are cool.
These are very good events. I want to come to both of these.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I don't have to buy a ticket, but
You'll
I
be
will.
okay. I'll let you in. Sports Writers Festival. So we're celebrating the start of the AFL season with 2 events at the Commercial Club Hotel Fitzroy in Melbourne. Tuesday the 20th of March, Conrad Marshall will be there having a chat with me about his extraordinary book, Yellow on Black, about Richmond's premiership year.
Which is the Quran of the Richmond Football Club.
It is. You have to, which means you have to start at the back and read it in reverse. And then on March the 27th, the following Tuesday, the wonderful Martin Flanagan will be there talking about his just joyous and beautiful book, Danny, A Wink from the Universe.
Which
about
is the
Bulldogs.
Dianetics of the Footscray Football Club. You must read it in order to be a member.
So it's basically the first 2 little events for the Sports Writers Festival this year. They're going to be intimate, stand up, enjoy a beer, and listen to great conversation with the 2 authors.
And it's the Commercial Club Hotel, which is a great pub.
It's a great footy pub. Paddy Walsh and his team down there.
And does that mean and will people hang around after to have your drinks and stuff like that?
That's the plan.
Are you going, Danny?
I'm going to the Bulldogs one, definitely. My therapist said I should stay away from Richmond-related things. So
the Richmond ones I'm a bit scared to go to.
So just go to Mosh Tix for tickets. Just look for Sports Writers
Tell the
Festival.
Commercial Club Hotel, get extra security
For the Richmond man. They probably know.
And then for the Bulldogs one, spread the chairs out.
No, be on the lookout for Susan Alberti.
and a camera crew. You're welcome, Susan. Just let me know in advance.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's good events. I'm going to go on to both of those, Francis, I think. Why are you going to both? You hate Richmond.
I've already done the therapy joke. What do you want? All right, I'll go to both. Fine.
Well, who am I going to talk to? I don't want to be there alone with all the Richmond fans.
How about we
I've
stand...
said some horrible things about them over the years.
How about we stand outside and make really disparaging comments, but just to each other?
Very quietly.
Do we need a ticket for that?
All right, well, I'll put the links up for all those shows up in the podcast notes too, so if people want to go to any of those, and make sure you go and see Danny if you're up in Queensland. Now, you'll be shocked, gentlemen. David Warner, we all know, got in a fight in the stairwell. This is the first fight in a stairwell of David Warner's actually captured on film. Probably not the first that's ever happened. Today, we've had some... so he had to be restrained and all this sort of stuff. And today, there's been some footage emerge. You'd be shocked that he was actually sledging De Kock well before they got into the stairwell, calling him an effing sook out on the ground, and this has all come out. Are you shocked that Warner might have actually set this off?
Can I just say that I love it when he goes full warthog? He just goes, he looks a little bit like like a little warthog when he gets angry,
like Pumbaa from Lion King.
That's it. You could see it out on the field when
Steve Smith's Timon
when he effected that run out.
You're just ripping off the line.
I am. I'm bringing it back to my generation.
Man. You could see he was on edge when he got the run out when he ran out to Villas.
Well, so was Lion. They were all playing with a fair bit of intensity. And Warner. He's if everyone starts at 0, he's already at 50 at the beginning.
And so it was always going to be on. But what I'd love to know is that if you're being sledged about your significant other by someone called De Kock, there is so much to work with there.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think we should just do a shout out to David Warner. He called him an effing sook. Is the word. Man, to not be going his name. I mean, that's next level. I still would not be past that.
Yeah, you can't resist that.
How many times has David Warner played South Africa? At least 20 or so. I still would be going, hey, by the way, your name. But shouldn't the Australians have? They requested the stump mic be turned down. Are they now going to request that all security cameras?
I think that's right. I think they actually
off?
don't even want the cameras covering the test. They wanted a media blackout for just the whole thing.
Played behind closed doors.
Yeah. But the thing with this is a lot of people... social media, you'd be surprised, has been polarised over this issue.
Wow, that
social
never
media,
happens.
it never really does that. So some people are saying once De Kock started sledging his family, then all bets are off. That was one school of thought. And the other school of thought was, well, one, Warner reaps what he sows. He's been doing a lot of this to other people over a long period of time. But secondly, you need to have some discipline, because if you go off that easy every time, someone will just mention your family. It's a bit like remember at high school, if someone said anything to you and it actually cut you deep, you didn't show it. You made them think that you didn't care.
Maybe at your all boys private school you did, but trust me, at Thornbury High you threw a punch. It was
you did. You always reacted.
Well, it depends who said it.
If it was a friend, you'd just
that's fine.
You'd pretend you didn't care.
You did that instead of roll call.
If you let them see you bleed, that's the problem, right?
There you go. Hard man Titus O'Reilly telling you how it is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was more than a few times I had to get my butler to go fight someone else's butler.
A duel.
Yeah, a duel to the death. I lost one of my best butlers that way. So I've seen heartache. Was all I'm saying. We're not, we're not all.
Do you think the issue here is the South African accent? Because things sound more insulting coming from that. Cos, all right, let me just try and defend everyone.
Can you give us a version of it, Danny?
Okay. Well, it inevitably is going there. He's just done a summer with against England, and there are a lot of Northern lads, and that's you could say anything in that. Like, Titus, I hear your butler's a bit of a rat goer. That's as hard as they're going to go.
How can I be annoyed with that?
Exactly. By the way, I had sex with your wife, and she was terrible. And you're just going, hey, keep talking, Ross.
Butler's accent.
It's not like an episode of Downton Abbey all of a sudden.
Or you're playing...
This podcast is becoming Danny Does Accents.
That's my whole life. Or they're playing, West Indies, and it's like, hey,
here we go.
I had sex with your wife, man. You're going, well, she is punching above her weight, sir.
Yeah. I would be honoured, sir.
Yeah, but suddenly, I don't like the way your wife is in bed. You go, all right, suddenly I'm angry at this prawn.
I can see why it would set you off, absolutely.
But the Australians, why do they get to write the rules around sledging? So they're the best at it, and they determine that they were prepared to just rip into you every which way, but not this. And suddenly they're indignant.
I know, that is the one thing, like we've got we don't really have a moral high ground.
No,
here on
and
this
our
issue.
accent would be very annoying as well. Yeah.
Hey,
You're going out the cop.
We don't have an accent. We don't have an accent.
We talk normal.
We talk like proper. The match referee Jeff Crow has hit out both of them with sanctions. Warner, it says a repeat offender. They make the point. He's got a level 2 offence, so he could actually miss the next test.
Give him more time to work on his political career.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is
Now
the
there's
first
gotta be our
sign I've
next
seen
point.
that he's ready for his political career. De Kock gets 2 demerit points, which means
He's going to lose his licence.
well, I was about to say, I think he can get a mate to pretend it was him and take the points. So that means he'll just get probably fined, I think, and that will be it. So he'll be out of play. So Warner could be out the next test. I don't know if it is. South African management have alleged that Warner called De Kock a bush pig.
Oh.
He's gone full warthog.
Before gone full warthog. So
yeah.
A bush pig.
a bush pig. Haven't heard that one.
So it's okay to say.
Well, you haven't heard that as an insult?
Not regularly. Like I remember, it's not one that you hear. Have you? When was the last time you've heard someone use it? I have heard it before in my life, but it's not like I'm oblivious to.
Dave Callan, the Irish comedian, has a line about I love the Australian insult, bush pig. You're a pig, but you're not one of those fancy urban inner city pigs.
No Northcote
Not
pigs
one of those
from there.
hipster pigs.
Yeah. with a low carbon footprint to your plate.
Yeah, organic bacon. None of that.
No food miles.
So anyway, well, I think with Warner, it is very much as in character, and no one was really surprised by this, were they? So, but going from Warner to someone who you couldn't imagine doing something like that, Toby Greene.
Good link. Good link.
Toby
what a
Greene,
great guy.
GWS giant Toby Greene, has avoided after, he's had a lot of issues last year. He punched...
He kicked Luke Dalhouse in the face.
Yeah, and he punched
It was
Caleb Daniels.
Caleb Daniel, that's right.
So, he didn't have a good year, like suspension-wise. So he's been signed by the GWS for a 6-year deal. This seems excessive until you work out minus suspensions, it's really a 2-year deal. But 6 years, and it's about $1 million a year. So it's
I'm
a
like
huge
you,
amount.
Titus. When I heard them say he had 6 years, I thought that meant there was a 6-year sentence, and if he behaved himself, he'd be out in 4.
Oh, that's right. I know. The minute you saw 6 years and
What's he
Toby
done
Greene in the
now?
headline, you go. See, I had a similar joke back when Dustin Martin. They said when Dustin Martin got re-signed just before the finals, and Brendan Gale came out and tweeted Dustin Martin Tiger for life, and I thought I've always expected to see the terms Dustin Martin and for life in a headline, but never in a positive one. And so it was very similar here with Toby Greene.
I'll tell you. Can I tell you a story about Toby Greene?
Yes, you can.
I used to work on a TV show called Before the Game.
Great show.
And Toby Greene was the first ever GWS player that we had on the desk.
Oh, was GWS around when you guys were still on
for the
air?
last year, yeah. So we finished in
right,
2013, and I think the Giants started in 2012.
Right, so yeah.
We had Toby Greene on, and he's a Victorian lad, and so a couple of his old schoolmates said, he said, "Can I bring some mates?" Which players sometimes do, and they go, "Yeah, they can hang out in the green room. That's all good."
Yeah.
And so we finished the show, and normally Mick Malloy was on the show by then, so normally we needed like 3 slabs just to be ready, because he's done breakfast radio all week. So's Lemo, so's Husey. So it's just got to be. That's their as soon as that show's over, they're letting off steam.
Yeah, that's
so
like their Friday night drinks.
absolutely,
Yeah.
And we finish the show, we go back. There's no more beers.
Awesome. He drank the rider.
His 2 mates did.
Awesome.
He'd been in the show. His 2 mates had pretty much drunk like 18, like a slab and a half between them. And they were proper, and they were still going. They were still buzzing. I think there may have been the producer gone. Yeah, they've gone to the toilet a few times, and everyone was just like, "What is it?" So that's where he's come from, which sort of explains, he's
Amazing.
as they say, a loose unit. So
Well, that was his mates, to be fair. He came to our show up in when I did a show in Sydney. He and a bunch of Giants came. And I had a heap of Giants jokes, and I didn't know till after the show. But the next time we did, Lockie Whitfield was in, and it was when he was suspended. And Serge had all these jokes about Lockie Whitfield all through it. And later on Twitter, felt the need to apologise because we were like, after the show, we're all going back to Craig Lambert's house. And then I go, well, there's Lockie Whitfield right in the crowd.
6
Did you
years,
get a-
though, I guess, as a
Is it a risk? Let's do our serious analysis of
Yeah,
this
let's do it.
deal.
No, I reckon it's a smart move because he'll be in huge demand because he's a great talent. Great talent. If they can get him on the straight and narrow, good luck with that. And his indiscretions are on field at the moment, so he just gets the.
Yeah.
He's not taking
He
pills
did
off the
almost
field.
kill a bouncer once.
He did.
but that was a nasty case. But what I love is in about 5 different articles I read on this is mentioning that he plays on the edge.
I love people playing on
Which
the edge.
means he doesn't really, because he's been suspended. He's going over the edge quite regularly.
Well, it's like in a 1980s cop movie. He's a cop on the edge.
Take my badge and gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Stick it.
Leon Cameron going, damn it, Greene, obey the rules. And then he gets teamed up with Eugene Levy and they have to solve a crime.
I saw one comment on Twitter, and I'd credit it if I could remember who said it, but someone was saying that's a 6-year deal. That's 6 more losing prelims.
Yeah, they've 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
The poor GWS.
Got to turn around.
I hope their fans okay.
So that's a huge deal. The other one is Gil says he's fine. Jeremy McGovern, West Coast Eagles player for the Victorians listening. It's been announced today. Sam Edmund broke this story that several clubs in Melbourne are all looking to try and get McGovern and putting huge deals to him. One is apparently $7 million over 6 years. This to me. They don't say which Melbourne club had done that, so we don't know if it's potentially North Melbourne.
It's always North Melbourne.
Or whether it's a serious offer. But although North Melbourne did come out later on and say it's not them, which I find amazing because they're protecting that war chest. You never spend the war chest that they've built up over the years.
They've put in an ING account. They're getting good interest rates on that.
It's all in cryptocurrency.
the Bitcoin kangaroos.
Yeah, that's right. They're worth a fortune. They're just going to buy Tasmania one day. Well, actually, you could probably buy it now. Jerry, but they're saying that it's this huge deal.
That's why Labor wanted to get rid of the pokies because North Melbourne don't like pokies.
That's right. It's wheels within wheels, Danny. Shh, we're not meant to mention that. We'll edit that out. Reporting this, though, one thing that I read this story, nothing struck me more. Like $7 million over 6 years for Jeremy McGovern. He's coming out of contract later on. Nothing says, and he's a West Coast born, he's a Perth born, West Australian native. Nothing says, my agent's leaking this story to help my negotiations with the Eagles more than this. That seems to me what the story is more than anything else.
Yeah, totally the play here. Absolutely ratchet up the price. It's like having someone come to an auction and stick their hand in the air early for you.
Yeah.
Which
is illegal now, isn't it?
It is.
Dummy bidding.
Dummy bidding.
Yeah, it's illegal. In Victoria, it's illegal.
Dummy
Wouldn't it
leaking?
be great if we could auction AFL players like that?
Oh.
If we had a live auction. Jeremy McGovern sitting down at a desk and all the AFL recruiters out on the street actually bidding.
Oh, yeah, I like where you're going.
Come on.
Yeah.
Have an actual live bid.
Make it open and
then they have to go, if they can't, it doesn't go past reserve, everyone has to go inside.
Yeah, the lead bidder goes inside and negotiates. See, I've always thought free agency would work a lot better if it was just a Tinder app.
AFL, give us a call. We can arrange all of this.
If the club and you swipe right, you're matched up.
There you go. And well, maybe it could be more like a Bumble, which is where only the female can make the first move in the dating app, allegedly.
I was going to say.
Yeah, hang on. Seen them.
So only the player can make the move first, or the club. I don't know. I jumped into this metaphor before I really thought it through.
Yeah, we've exposed the. Anyway, you got a good knowledge of dating it, so. I'm looking forward to your family listening to this.
Jeremy McGovern, eh? What a great player.
What a catch.
I reckon he should go to the Bulldogs. Anyway, what's next?
So that to me says massively, though, just the agent flying a kite.
Absolutely.
Like, do you think anyone's going to offer $7 million and over 6 years for Jeremy McGovern? And it's not North.
No.
Like, once you know it's not North. Although, and if he was a bit older, I'd say it would be Collingwood, but he's not injury prone enough yet.
It really is like an auction. How many other properties are in the market? So if Rory Sloane comes into the market and he's available,
He's definitely leaving.
Yeah, he's coming to Saints.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Says Perth Breakfast Radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, who was that? That was Nat Fyfe.
That was Nat Fyfe.
Nat Fyfe was to the Saints.
But that wasn't. Everyone says, "Oh, that was that Perth radio station." That was like the equivalent of Fox FM. It was a pop music station.
It was the guy who does Sky in the Eye, Eye in the Sky.
Oh, it was the weather reporter.
And by the way, the traffic's terrible on Leach Highway. And if you're driving over the Carnarvon Bridge, but by the way, Nat Fyfe is going to St Kilda next year. This is Gary in the Eye in the Sky.
I get all my trade advice from the
Perth traffic
guy,
reporter.
from Jimmy Traffic.
Yeah.
Hello, if you're listening, Jimmy Traffic.
Isn't it good that he got that job? Yeah, with the last name Traffic, he carried on the
amazing.
family
Is
tradition.
that the nominative determinism?
The one that yeah, that's right. If that was the case, my name would be Titus Podcast. And it's as sad as it sounds. Today was the AFL. Gillon McLachlan and a few of the other key executives sat down with the Melbourne media, which is the only media that they're aware of.
Were you there, Titus, representing the Variety Hour?
I was a bit like Susan Alberti. I showed up.
You showed up with a camera crew and they go, Titus, we're not filming the porno tonight.
They said, they said, who are you? So they basically what they did when they met with all the journos, it's also the NRL season launch tomorrow. So I think there's a bit of like, let's throw enough stuff to keep the media talking about
Because
us.
we couldn't imagine one news cycle without the AFL being the most important thing in the world.
No, exactly. So they've come out and thrown a whole bunch of ideas out there. And it's a bit like, you know, how many bad ideas can we have in 24 hours? So the first one is English Premier League style short-term loans for players. Now, I don't even know how does this work in the Premier League? Francis, you know this better than me.
Yeah, so it works in European football and world football. So your parent club can loan you for a spell.
So they own you. So it's like, say it's, I don't know,
So
say it's like Angus Brayshaw
Yeah.
at Melbourne or something, you know.
He might, so if he was playing for Melbourne,
And he's just been drafted.
There's a transfer window in the middle of the year. He isn't getting a game for the first half of the year. His contract would remain at the Melbourne Football Club, but they could loan him for, say, the remainder of the season to the Bulldogs, who pay a fee for his service, probably cover the cost of
So he
his
gets
wages.
a run.
Yeah. And could be in the Premier League that you can also do as part of that deal. You are not allowed to play often against your parent club. So if you're loaned from Arsenal to Celtic and Arsenal played Celtic in a Champions League game, that's never going to happen ever again because we're rubbish. But you would not be allowed to play against your parent club. So that's how it works at the moment.
See, I heard loans in the AFL, player loans. I assumed a lot of the Bulldogs players would have to be going to cash converters. And just I've got a premiership medallion now. Can I get $50 for it? I'll be back for it next week.
That's 15 years away for those Bulldogs ones. So that's one thing they're saying with the AFL. I think in the AFL they're thinking it would also work a bit as that they're looking at, on top of these loans, they're also looking at a mid-year draft or mid-year trade period so that the bad clubs can trade to the good clubs who are going to be playing finals, but get draft picks back in return or other younger
that's
players.
not a bad idea.
Well, it happens in baseball is the one I can think of that it's the most pronounced, where it gets towards deadline, and they call it the hot stove, and it's like you're either basically a buyer or a seller. So if you are not going to make playoffs, they have a fire sale, and it's not like a fight like here where you might occasionally get rid of one of your stars goes because they're an unrestricted or restricted free agent. This is like if you're Freo like you've been the last few years, it's like right, we'll sell Nat Fyfe and get 20, get 5 prospects and get a couple of draft picks. Yeah. And cash. That's the sort of thing they do. It's quite
Well, the Crows have sort of been doing that for a few years.
This is never going to happen, though, because the AFL Players Association is not going to abide its players being treated as chattels.
You don't think they will?
No
I don't know. With the new El Presidente, Patrick Dangerfield, he says he's open to some other ideas, especially ones that involve leaving Adelaide. So.
Yeah, but anyone can come to Geelong is the new thing, the rule they have. You don't think... Because Gillon wants it this year.
I'll believe it when I see it. I do think the live trading is obviously going to be part. Live trading of draft picks is going to be part of the draft
at the end
period.
of the year. Yeah,
but
the draft.
I think it's remarkable. He's saying they want it this year. That you can get to this stage of the year where all the clubs have done all their planning for the season, and then just drop that in there. So all those plans you've got, it's got more than a hint of Trump about it. You know, it's more like Trump and his tariffs. And have you seen that? Like, he walks into a press conference and
They're going to get
announces
Mexico to pay for this trade period.
Exactly. Just thought bubble it out there. You know.
It is like that. The thing I think that they've argued this point before about freeing up player movement more so that the bad clubs can not have 5-6 years of rebuilding, but can rebuild a lot quicker is the idea. That's the thing they put
There's
up.
more rebuilding going on in the AFL than there is in Aleppo.
That's right.
It's ridiculous.
But the flip side of that they never mention is it also means teams who have got bad administrators can really screw a club up a lot faster too.
That's
That's
really
what
good
worries
point.
me, because as a Melbourne supporter, like if you'd have given Cameron Schwab the keys to mid-season trading and trading away draft picks, and like by the time
He would have come
he
back.
was gone and Peter Jackson got put in, he would have found it like 10 times. There wouldn't have been club.
I swapped Jack Watts for these magic beans.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well,
Still
actually,
fair
that's a
trade.
good try. That's basically what we did.
But it's a really good
I
point.
get your point.
Because you have a coach maybe who's at the back end of a contract or thinks that they're on the rack,
Yeah.
and so they go and sell the farm to try to save their season and their job.
Or they're just not a very good manager, as you know. Like they're just not, they're not a good administrator, which happens to every club. Every club at some point has had terrible administration. You know, whether every club, there's not one that hasn't. And you look at that and go, "Good, could you imagine some of those people actually being able to do this in one, like in 1 month instead of like there's checks and balances almost for a reason that it actually does take longer to get back if you're smart, but you can actually not screw the club completely overnight." And I really do worry this is going to happen. Now, maybe that's me projecting being a Melbourne supporter.
I'm with you as a St Kilda supporter. Don't
Yeah,
worry,
you know
Titus.
exactly what I'm
with
talking
you
about.
whole
Not
way.
like Danny Premierships here.
I'm just swimming in them, guys. I got no room on my body for tattoos.
So if that wasn't enough, one of the things they also threw out in today's nonsense is the idea. The idea of umpires having in game to stop and explain their decisions to the public, like being mic'd up or something, and more clearly, almost like in American football, where they actually play.
Was that what that article? I thought the
stops.
article was about. They would be a representative of the umpires was allowed to be part of like special comments during a match.
Right.
So
Because I read it when they said they could, the actual umpires would explain.
So can you
their
imagine
decision.
like
No,
Darren
that's right.
Darren Goldspink just go, hang on everyone,
I
hang
can
on.
totally imagine the AFL think that's an idea.
So he's got to go up to the Collingwood cheer squad and go, no, I didn't see him.
I don't think
drop
you could
the ball
do
properly.
It, do it individually to
Well,
everyone there.
they
you
should.
can do that at a GWS game, but you can't.
GWS v North.
It's another saleable product for the AFL. It's always looking for commercial opportunities. This white maggot moment is brought to you by Raid.
But that's
just
not a
stop
new
and talk to the
That's
camera.
not a new thing to have someone with a bit of an umpire background do the rules. They do that in the NFL all
No,
the
but
time.
being able to talk mid-game.
But
like
an
in the
actual official,
broadcasting.
not just an umpire. Or
Yeah, it
something.
would be good if they had. Who is umpire boss? It's not Jeff Geishan anymore. It's
They got rid of it. Was
Yeah, Peter Schwab was doing it for a while. Wane Campbell
who's
before
I forget who
him.
the new one is.
Terry Wallace. Surely will have a go soon. He does everything else.
Yeah, he's got a 5-year plan to turn the umpires around. Terry.
Yeah,
So
great
that's
man.
another idea they've got. I don't know what that's going to do. I just think that's going to make it more confusing because they'll explain it and everyone will go, well, that's not actually what happened.
So are we talking? What if they got like a political spin person to and was representing
Like
the
the
umpires at all
mooch.
times? Like the mooch, yeah,
He's
the
not
mooch.
doing anything. I'd pay to hear him explain AFL. Like,
Yeah, but not telling the rules.
Imagine you'd ring up and say, we want to hire you to do this. And he goes, have you ever watched AFL? No.
Great.
I'll do it.
You might as well just walk into the room and the whole meeting go, thank God you're here.
He's be like, I've seen Gillan McLaughlin hit a basketball shot the length of a field. My favourite one that came out of today's madness was that 4 clubs are visiting India this week as the AFL
Well,
is
it's
getting...
written here 4 clubs off to India, and I think that's going to be Kangaroos, Bulldogs, Saints, Demons. Literally,
Permanently.
we're being moved.
So when they said this, they said they're looking at building up the sport in India and they're sending 4 clubs there to boost it. And I thought, India is a funny way to pronounce Tasmania. But apparently they said and what struck me is the there is a position, the AFL General Manager of China and India, David Stevenson.
Who used to be the chairman
CEO
of
of
the
the
Western
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
But how is that a job?
Yeah, that's true. That is
General Manager of China and India in AFL. Like, it just blows.
Well, I am the chairman of ice hockey Alice Springs,
Yeah,
and
can
things
I-
are going really well, thanks.
Can I be the AFL General Manager for Estonia or
Sure,
something? Like,
yeah.
what's the what do you have? Does he just? Is this a guy that's just come out and said he's that? Is it a paid position? Like, I want to know.
It's extraordinary that sort of imperial instinct the AFL has that they're going to go conquer new territories.
But I don't know the answer to this question. And I want to find out. Is David Stevenson? Is it a volunteer role because he wants to grow the game? And the AFL still said, yeah, if you want to go ahead and try and run it and put a bit, we're all for it. Or is this a paid position?
No, he's backpacking around there with a Sharon. Yeah. That's what he's doing, having a kick on the Great
but
Wall.
The
imagine,
AFL gives him $100 every
if
time he
you're-
kicks a footy into a crowd.
If you're like a Tasmanian development officer or you need one, like, and you're going, they're paying someone to be the general manager of
Titus,
India.
they haven't even got anyone to get their ass on a seat in the Greater Western Sydney, let alone the
Oh,
Hindu
that's
Kush.
Greater Western Mumbai.
That's it.
So right, they're just going further. They're going China, India. They're just going further north. So there's going to be a North Pole team before there's a Tasmanian
it's
team.
just the biggest countries. They're just going on size.
Oh, so Russia's next.
Well, Russia and Brazil must be like, and South Africa.
Canada?
There's a few like that are. I don't think they've got a very big population
I
compared to
reckon
the others.
Mongolia's gagging
Oh,
for
so
it.
it's
Oh,
got-
Mongolia, it's sparsely populated, lots of grass.
Lots of
population.
No problem with ovals there. Just like everything's an open, flat
And
grassland.
because of the Genghis Khan thing and horses, Gil will love the polo opportunities too.
So the thing I found interesting is they said that the 4 clubs are going there and there's going to be officials from various things. It's a fact-finding mission. Read Junket. They won't disclose...
I can tell you what they're going to find. No one gives a shit about AFL footy in India and China.
That
Save
has
them
never
the fare.
that has never been proven, Francis. Unless we go there, this is like Japan testing on whales.
Scientific research.
Scientific
That's what it
research.
is.
Well, that's like, they said, well, first we looked at Greater Western Sydney and there's like 2-3 million people there who don't care about us. And then someone went, well, hang on, I found 1 billion people in China that don't care about us. And then the other guy goes, well, I found another, 800 million that don't care about us at all either. It's like terrific. Never have we had more people actively not engaged with our sport. So they won't disclose. Gillon McLaughlin said he'd prefer not to disclose the identity of the clubs that are going.
What is this whole trip being run by ISIS?
It's like-
What is?
It just makes no sense. I was like, what, you can't say? Like, it's not going to leak. That's the other thing. Like, why? That's going to leak in like a day. Because we already know that Richmond and Greater Western Sydney have been arguing they want to play in Mumbai, and Essendon have already been over there. They sent a bunch of players who were suspended during the drug saga. They sent about 4 or 5 of them.
They send them to what? To Afghanistan? To the poppy fields?
Yeah. No, they send them to They sent it to...
A bit of stuff.
Yeah.
Just bring condoms, boys.
Yeah, that's right. They sent them to India, and it was a Fox footy show of them going. And it basically was. It was true. It was a Fox footy show that was on about it. It was basically like watching airport security. It was this them clearing it for about half an hour.
There's just something that blows my mind about this whole thing. So in Australia, we are lucky. We live in a country where there's plenty of opportunity to play sport. We're so wealthy as a country. We've got the leisure time, which is a great privilege.
I feel like I should be standing up, as Francis
Do you
says.
think the billions
It's the
of
best
people...
country in the world, mate.
The billions of people in India struggling to make a living. I know it's a growing middle class, everything, but struggling to, eke existence out. They're going to go, I'll stop that down for now. And I think what I'm going to do is buy some footy boots and go out and kick a Sharon.
Well, the only thing that makes me think that India makes in some ways more sense to me than China. And the only reason I say that is because
ovals?
they've got ovals. They're playing
AFLX
cricket,
people,
and-
AFLX.
And we've got
Zupa.
And we've got, without a Zupa. And we've got a connection through the cricket that you could argue. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to take off, but, if at least there's some rational thought to that I don't see
And let's
with
not
China
forget,
at all.
was it Campbell Brown represented Australia in that Indian sport
Oh,
where you
yeah,
say the name of the sport over and over as you tackle people? It's
Yeah.
like British Bulldog, but Indian Bulldog.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember the name of that sport?
Oh, it was great to
Is it
watch.
K?
Yeah, it's sort of like
Kota-
Korpa.
yeah.
You have to say it while you're playing it. which
Yeah,
I
no,
love.
and what If we all knew Campbell Brown would end up there. All signs pointed
I
to
mean,
that.
Gil will get ideas. I mean, he's going to make it a new rule that you have to be saying AFLX, AFLX, AFLX as you're playing it.
What other crazy stuff do they come up with?
Well,
Titus?
the one thing though that they did mention about India, they snuck into the India announcement, which I thought was very interesting, is they're talking about India as a potential place. Now, he got asked about China and what AFL's view was on China, and he said, this was Gillen said, it had reached an interesting point.
Oh.
Which I'm not sure if it is that interesting, but he said that ahead of them having the second consecutive premiership game this year in round 9, he said the league's committed to playing in China for the next 5 years, but acknowledged there was a 5 to 10% chance that AFLX could replace the premiership games over that time. Now that to me says he's
You can hear beep, 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 beep. They're backing
they're
out.
just backing away slightly. Like 5 to 10%, I reckon, is more like a
50
90
to 100.
Well, it's
Out of
like
zero.
100%. So he's just opening that idea.
So at the
up
same
that-
time they're telling us they're trying to sell the game to these countries, they're walking away from these countries with the game.
well, okay, but the public is going, well, this is all well and good, but Queensland's stuffed, Gold Coast is expensive, GWS is not pulling crowds, but even if you believe that's a multi-generational thing, you can at least see the logic of trying to win over Australia, right?
Yeah.
Tasmania's not booming exactly, like it needs a lot of help. So not all of it, I've got to say, not all of it the AFL's fault. Some of that is Tasmania's fault and economic shifts
changing
that are going
demographics
on
in
there and
communities,
stuff. But so you kind of look at it, and I think the average punter just goes, look, is this really is this core business that the AFL should really be focusing
But it's
on?
that football industrial complex mentality. It's such a big corporate entity. It feels like it has to be constantly growing.
Yeah.
It's just it's a strange.
But they like doing new things.
principality.
They don't ever want to just say, we're just trying to do what we're trying to do really well. Like their strategy was grow the game in the northern states. And
How's
they've
that
spent
going?
hundreds of millions of dollars of doing it. And they've said it's a multi-generational thing. So let's say we agree that's all true. Well, then stick to that. That's your big strategic direction. You don't need 10 other ones. Like,
Mate,
stay focused.
Anyone talking about New Zealand?
Stay focused, or the Saints would want to go back there.
Do they?
Yeah, they've said that. They've managed to win over, what, like 4 people?
Have you,
3 at least.
did you win? I know you lost to Carlton there once.
We know we lost both the games there. Wow. I know. We are 0-2.
Yeah, you used to lose.
We've got to go back and
you used to
win.
lose quite a bit there, didn't you?
Yeah, we lose everywhere though. That's okay.
Yeah, I did.
It's just the way
It's a multi-generational
Don't worry.
plan.
Exactly.
Even the Wallabies can't win over there. So.
Exactly. There you go.
Uh,
Don't want to be compared to them though. Gee, that's a bit rough. Sorry, rugby fans.
so you've heard it here first. The AFL's going to go to China.
Which is really exciting. Just imagine all the different races of people that Toby Greene will get to kick in the face.
Now, you might remember a couple of years ago, we had 2 Collingwood players, Lachlan Keefe and Josh Thomas.
They had a great time at the St Kilda Festival, I do believe, that time.
Yes, they did. And they returned a positive drug sample. And their first step was to come out and say they believe it could have been potentially something in the beef, New Zealand steaks that they ate. And that they were looking into this.
Which is such weird slang for cocaine. Do you guys want some New Zealand steak?
Top stuff. And so you'd think, well, that got ran out as a bit of a thing. Now, New Zealand beef industry did not react well to this.
No,
they were quite annoyed.
And the New Zealand beef industry, I'm desperately trying to work out a way I can do a joke where it's choice.
I like how you just didn't bother.
No,
you
no,
just sort
it's-
of
that was
said to the
That's
audience.
it's an IKEA joke.
You do the rest of it.
Yeah.
I've done like 2 bits. I've done like
It's an IKEA joke. There you go.
Yeah,
Assemble
there
it
you go.
yourself.
We're 5 accents in now. This podcast, it's going well.
Oh man, you guys are like, what's this? The 4th episode we've done together? I've held off.
I believe your whole act is that people can come
Yes.
see on Friday.
Anyone who listens to the Little Dum Dum Club, the comedy podcast, will know. Yeah, this is what I do. There's no point in doing jokes when you just go, "Oh, hey, the new."
So you think that Lachlan Keefe and Josh Thomas, after running that excuse up the flagpole and it not really fluttering. Is that even a close analogy?
That's a good one.
That you wouldn't really try that again. But Canelo Alvarez, who is a boxer, he came out this week after he was tested in advance of his May 5th rematch against Golovkin, who's a world champ, isn't he?
Gennady Golovkin, good fighter.
Very
Canelo's
good fighter.
They're
both a good fighter. Yeah. So he's returned to positive. So
they're
this
both
is
a good fighter.
They're both a good fighter.
They're the same person, Siamese twin style. I would watch that.
That would be a great fight.
One arm each. Yeah. Sorry, Tom.
That's awesome. That's way
I
better
wish
than
the
real
audience
boxing.
could see what you two are both doing at the moment. Because
We're both miming in case you don't get the simple joke.
If you don't get this, we're doing the heavy lifting on this one. There's nothing like visual comedy for a podcast. We should. So this is a big fighter. This isn't like some local nothing fighter like an Anthony Mundine. So after testing positive, he came out and he said that he's not a cheater but an eater because he's blaming Mexican cows.
Here we go. So the bit
for
of background
it, that he ate Mexican beef, and that's what's given him the problem.
Spanish cyclist Alberto Cancellara did test positive to a banned substance about 7 or 8 years ago. Blamed the beef as well, and I think he got a dispensation on his suspension around that. But this is out. Everything's Mexico's fault. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing guns. They're bringing cows.
Welcome to Accent Town. It's awesome.
I know, we've been hiding
and some of them are really good people.
And now they've got these drug-filled cows roaming the countryside.
That's what the wall's for.
So that's what he's saying, that he thinks that's the problem and that he's been tested many times before, never been caught. And therefore, they always point to that, but we've been shown numerous times. Has any athlete ever said, "You got me"?
No,
you got me straight
still waiting
up.
on that.
You know, like it's always until like the evidence just becomes beyond belief. Like Lance Armstrong now, I see him doing things. People have him on all sorts of shows.
Well, he has his own podcast where he's sort of
know.
trying to rehabilitate himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, is it called "You Got Me" or is it?
His argument's always been that everyone was doing it. It was the culture of the sport, and he was just better at it than everyone else. So what's the problem?
That's always a great argument. Other people were behaving terribly.
Yeah.
There are people being murdered everywhere at all the time. So why can't I do it?
Lots of other people killed people. Why are you focusing on my problems?
I just ate a cow.
So blaming a cow for your positive banned substance.
Because a cow can't speak back.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Who's representing the cows here?
Well, they're all off their heads.
It doesn't work.
Cows it's very hard for a cow to take cocaine because it's got a ring in its nose a lot of the time. It gets in the way.
Huge nostrils.
Yeah. Yeah, you need we use a rolled up note, but they've got to use like a drain pipe.
I think they're more like into the ecstasy cows.
Oh, are they?
From what I know about agriculture.
So when they've got the bell on their neck and they're dung dung, they're going, "Yeah, I love this song."
That's why they have the bells, exactly. Talking of boxing, Shane Mumford, retired GWS ruckman, recently retired, we should say, finished up last year, known as one of the toughest men on the footy
A really
field.
lovely man, actually. We had him on before the game, and he was one of the most delightful players I've ever met.
What did his mates do to the beer out the back?
They all just gave us massages and then gave us some premium New Zealand beef.
Was he at the Swans when?
Yeah, he was at the Swans
back
then.
then.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said that one of the things he's looking to do is box in the have a boxing match against Cronulla Hardman and I think convicted drug cheat as well, Paul Gallen. This year.
Do the nation a favour by fighting Paul Gallen.
Well, yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing because they think it would really sell incredibly well because it's sort of got that AFL versus NRL component to it. And he's known in Sydney, Mumford. He's actually known up there over having plied his trade for
boxing
both
style nickname too, the Mummy.
The Mummy. Now, Gallen's fought, I think, 8 professional fights and he's unbeaten, so he's not a
and
slouch.
some of them have actually been in a boxing ring.
He's not a slouch, really. The difference is that Mumford is got a reach of, I think they said 199 centimetres and 108 kilogram frame. That's how big he is. So it's a huge difference in size between the two. But they say, well, Gallen's just better, has boxed a lot more, so they'd have the edge there.
Because we found out last year the answer to the long-running question, what if someone who's never boxed before fights one of the best boxers of all time? And finally that was proven. Thank you, Conor McGregor. We often wondered.
So this could happen then. They say it could be a big pay-per-view. Would you pay to watch this fight?
I'd definitely watch it. I wouldn't pay for it. I'd find a way to
Get a steal.
I'd go to the local pub or something.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say I'd steal the fight.
Yeah, illegal download.
Facebook Live, those guys who did it with the Mundine fight.
That's right.
Well, I remember the streams on Twitter are always there,
Apparently you can do that on YouTube.
I'll tell you off air how to do it.
Yeah, so no, I wouldn't pay for it. Danny's going to show me how I can steal it.
Yeah, go down to the local pub and watch that. That'd be kind of bizarre. I don't know. It's one of those ones where I think Gallen could probably...
Don't you think that Mummy could do with some better career advice after finishing footy than becoming a circus clown in a boxing rodeo?
I also don't... Does boxing need more gimmicks? Yeah. Like, is this what the sport of boxing needs? It's been dying a long time.
Can he do UFC?
Probably not.
Okay, well, next subject.
Good luck, Mummy.
Yeah, I really like Mumford. I hope he doesn't get punched in the face.
That's very big of you. Now, Francis, you saw, Arsenal.
Yeah, he's a broken man, our Frankie.
Well, I wanted to.
Do you want to bring us through what's happening with Arsenal, but also what was said this week?
Let's give out the lifeline number just at the top: 13, 11, 14.
But we should just to preface this for people who might not even be soccer fans or don't know what's going on with Arsenal. They've reached a point that every sports fan is going to be able to relate to this, I think.
Yeah, so they've lost their last 4, but Arsene Wenger's been there for 22 years and it's just become so toxic with the fans. They want him to go. And then there was this article in The Guardian in the UK midweek after they'd lost to Manchester City in the League Cup final and then got beaten by City again in the Premier League about 5 days later.
3-0?
3-0 on both occasions, where one of the players had obviously leaked the fact that the captain of the club, Lauren Koscielny, was actually in tears talking to the other players in the dressing room saying, we need help.
Before or after the game?
At training after the
During.
Cup. Exactly. That was the fans in the stands. We need help. We can't keep doing this the way this is going on.
Danny said this just before for this podcast.
And the fans feel the same way. And I'm just wondering if you've ever had...
So you got the captain of the club...
Yes.
...crying in front of the other...
Just exasperated, saying, this is just dry.
We can't play soccer anymore when he says we can't do this anymore.
We can't... This club it's just so broken. It's not working anymore. The manager...
Because this is meant to be one of the best clubs in the world.
It is one of the biggest. And it asks, it has had and Wenger's had a great history there, but the last 10 years of the 22 have been less than glorious. He has won the last 3 of the last 4 FA Cups. So it's a very mixed history, but it's just a mess. And you would know, as footy fans, that sometimes your club or your team gets to a point where it's just so painful watching that you can't watch. That I couldn't get up to watch the Brighton game. They played Brighton Hove Albion, which is Matty Ryan's team, and Brighton beat them 2-1 away at home at Brighton. And I knew that result was going to happen, but I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I was just so disillusioned.
You've given up watching.
At the moment, I still care.
Thank God the A-League's really exciting.
Yeah. Oh. But, you would have got that way. Say when
I've got that way with the E-League. Well, with Melbourne, I've never...
Have you got to a point where I just can't watch
I don't know. I
being?
kind of, almost with Melbourne, it's like this punishment for my sins. I kind of make myself, watch it, but just get darker and darker as I watch it.
You've never gone, I'm not watching today?
No.
Wow.
But I'm dead inside, Francis. I don't recommend that as an approach for other people.
I had a mate with the Bulldogs.
He doesn't like watching them when they win.
I had a mate with the Bulldogs when we were in a dark time now. I often can use the excuse of if I don't go to games, because we play on the weekends and that's when I'm working. That's when I've got gigs or whatever. And one day, one of my mates went down with his membership, scanned it, but then never went in. So the Bulldogs got the attendance, one person up, but he didn't have to sit through it. And he goes, I've done my duty. And he left. But Arsenal can I just give you, just for the benefit of the listeners,
yes.
What I think, just dot points of what the horror you're going through. Arsene Wenger was amazing. Like the untouchable season, is that where you didn't lose a game?
49 games unbeaten across a season and a bit. Still a record.
You won a whole season without losing.
In the Premier League, mean feat.
One of the greatest leagues in the world. And then you got bought out by Cronkite, is that his
the
name?
American billionaire who owns the LA Rams and a bunch of other American sports teams.
And he built Emirates or Etihad Stadium.
That was already built there. So he bought the club after they'd invested millions and millions of dollars in building a stadium, which they said were going to help the club to compete with the best in Europe, and hasn't happened that way. But it's more that thing where you go, I know what this is going to make me feel if I watch this, and I choose.
Oh, okay. So you want to talk about the emotion rather than
it sounds like
situation.
the players are saying that as well.
Absolutely.
They don't want to watch.
It's awful. It's horrible. Help me, boys. Help me. What am I going to do? Should I tune in this weekend when they play? Well, in fact, Friday morning when they play AC Milan in the Europa Cup.
Oh, you got to watch that. Yeah, give a bit of respect to the Europa League.
I'm always of the view kind of like, and this might be a foolish view.
I care too much, Titus.
But I always have the view that if I don't put myself through all the hard things, if I put myself through all this hard yards, the win is going to be, if we ever win a premiership, which for Melbourne's almost a dead cert for this year.
The engrave is already out.
That it's going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be all paid off in that sweet moment. I mean, what did Danny? You would know this was the
tell us, Danny. We're pressed up against the glass. What's it like?
Let me tell you right now. When we did, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life. It was a genuine overflow of emotions. It was like the Three Stooges walking through a door. I just felt so much. I wasn't there thinking, thank God I watched us lose to the Kangaroos in 2001.
But the emotional reaction, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
because you have, like a Hawthorn supporter, you know, they try and tell you differently, but you say to them, I've sat there with Hawthorn fans who say to me, they've had conversations like this, and they do it in front of me because they know, but they go, what was your favourite premiership? And they go, I don't know, was it this? Oh, maybe that year. That year was good, but it kind of wasn't the year. And I'm just sitting there going, you
horrible individuals.
And they go, I was good winning that one. I like the other one more, but I still enjoyed that. And you're like, these are premierships.
There was a few of my mates watched the grand final at the Royal Park Reds Cricket Club, and I wasn't at this 2015. I was up in Brisbane watching it, but I got told that another mate of ours is a Hawthorn fan, so they were all watching the grand final. The game ends, they watch the cup presentation, and then this bloke, our Hawthorn sporting mate, rocks up, and we go, "What are you doing here?" He goes, I wanted to leave early and beat the traffic. They all just go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fucking prick.
Yes. So look, I do watch, and I'll probably will watch, but I just had the moment.
Arsenal and AC Milan have got a lot in common because AC Milan aren't doing great, and they're owned by a mental person. It's
good.
It's Berlusconi. Berlusconi owns AC Milan.
But sports, a lot of sport is pain.
I'm a St Kilda fan, Titus.
Yeah, you know this.
Yeah, you've doubled up. This is why everyone. I cannot recommend enough. Go for Celtic because the Scottish Football League used to be a 2-horse race, and now it's dressage. That's a Kevin Bridges line.
Yeah.
But it's a 1-horse race. We're ahead by 7 points.
But all you need, you've got the T-shirt on now.
I am.
6 championships in a row. It's
pretty good, isn't it?
So when you look at it, you go, I think it like investing. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. Have a balanced portfolio.
Yeah.
Those Magellan ads over the cricket taught us that. So you want to go for a team in the NBA? You want to go for a team in the MLB?
Yeah.
You want to go to a team in the soccer? You want in the Premier League, in the A League? You spread.
E-League.
That's why I go for the Melbourne Storm.
That works.
We've even when they take them off us,
just go for Queensland in Origin. That'll work.
Yeah, that's right. So you want to spread your.
So I need to be a glory hunter. Is that what you're saying?
Just a little bit.
No, because the thing is, like, you and I can do that. You know why? Because and same with Danny, although he's kind of left the club.
I'm so sorry we won the flag.
Yeah, we're St Kilda and Melbourne supporters. So no matter how good those other teams go, it's never going to mean as much, and it's never going to completely balance it. Now you've got Arsenal, so you're just glutton for punishment. Have you ever thought you're the problem?
Yeah, well, maybe that's it.
So not to depress you and send you home in a.
Arsene Wenger's going to say that at his press conference ahead of the AC Milan game. The problem
is was all Francis Lee.
I feel bad. Does he speak? I'm going to have to ring you tomorrow to see if you're still okay.
Poor.
I assume Arsene Wenger speaks with a Pepe Le Pew style French accent. We are not playing that well.
I think we've done every accent now. He's done Trump.
More.
You've done
heaps more.
Well, here we go.
Got my Angela Merkel coming up.
The England women's team were playing before a final game in the USA in the She Believes Cup.
In the She Believes Cup. Can't believe it.
She Believes. What is that? I mean, that must be an ad. Do you know what it is?
I don't know what corporate tagline that is, but it's an interesting one because Phil
look it
Neville, the coach, took them to Disney
So
World.
former Manchester United defender, Phil Neville.
Controversially appointed as the coach of the women's English women's team.
Why was that? Because he'd made some jokes on Twitter.
That went,
But the thing about those jokes is they were probably like not great jokes, but they weren't.
No, they were.
He did one where he goes like, "I totally beat my wife tonight
playing table tennis."
Yeah, and everyone went, "Well, that's domestic violence." I'm like, is that the real problem we're fighting? Like, it's a dad. It's not a very good joke. It's like a terrible dad joke. Like, and he did it like about 5 years ago. Like, if anything, it's crimes against humour that he should be in trouble for.
He was torched for all that, but he's taken his team to Disneyland. It just reminded me of all those.
So he took him to Disneyland. It was the week before the final game, was it?
Yeah, so they're off having. I love those ideas of those extracurricular activities that football clubs take their players on.
He said going to Disneyland is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, once he's been anywhere, he's barred for life. So he thinks.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. It's not like seeing Halley's Comet. Like you're illegally allowed to go back as much as possible. You know what it's not like seeing Danny McGinley perform. No, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Or twice on
when you're locked in.
Twice
on this in Brisbane this weekend.
She Believes isn't a corporate sponsorship. It's only 4 teams play it. It's Germany, France, USA.
So that explains why England are in the final, because there's only 4 teams involved.
Yeah.
But do you love the idea of your clubs going and sports clubs going on extracurricular activities to places like that?
Well, my club refused to go on a military-style training camp this year.
They wanted to go to Disney World.
Yeah. It's wet and wild.
Back in the day, the old Footscray...
Splish and splashes,
Splish and splashes, you call it.
The Footscray players all used to go to Centrelink together. That was quite nice.
It's a low accurate joke. Yeah, I do like the idea of the night before, like just before a final, sending them off. Like, there's some weird things that coaches have done over the years to try and motivate, or like, I guess in taking their mind off it, it's fine. Like, you got a bunch of players there, they're waiting around. What else are you going to do with them? Like, you don't want them just out drinking or something. My favourite was Luke Beveridge, the premiership year, I think it was. He started the year by reading the children's story by Dr. Seuss, All the Places That You'll Go.
Oh, that was the beginning of last year at the season launch, 2017.
To the players.
After we won it.
The players. And I thought, isn't that...
And now their reading level's up that they're going to have a crack at Harry Potter.
That's right, that's their next one.
Book club.
I did.
No, he's going to bring them to your Wink from the Universe thing. Listen to you guys read the story. Oh, this one's about us.
I do like the idea of communicating with sports people through children's books. I think it's the most sensible medium, really. You know, more than anything else that they'll actually get, especially if there's pictures. It's actually quite a long children's book, that. So that was my favourite thing a coach has pretty much ever done. Malcolm Blight was famous for doing some very strange things. He took one where he took all the players to his home or something.
Made them sit around the pool with their towels on their heads, pretending they were American Indians or Native Americans, and then came in and sat on top of a stool and was the chief.
And he did that to them, and they got thrashed. It was Geelong, I think he did that with. And the next game they were thrashed. Didn't work.
Wow. It's because he was sending out the plays through smoke signals. It took too long.
I don't know what a circle followed by a dash is. So anyway, that's so has that been played? That's tonight, isn't it?
It is.
Game? Oh,
in the She Believes Cup.
I'll be staying up for that.
I think we've almost done our thing for today.
Well, that was a lot of stuff.
There
Thanks to the AFL throwing out all their thought bubbles today, and I worry a lot of them are going to come true.
Which one's going to come true?
I think like Gillen is obsessed with the media trade period, and I think enough clubs will go, oh, we'll be able to use this. Like if you introduce it this year, if you're any club that thinks it's got a chance of making finals, it's a great idea because you can top up your list and actually have a good run at it. You know, if you're close, So there'll be enough clubs that will go, yeah, we'll do that. They all want to be in the NFL.
They do, don't they? Why is that? Oh, who knows?
Too much playing Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, playing Madden and playing FIFA is brilliant because if you're losing, you just press reset.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
But this is what all these, like, the bottoming out thing that everyone thought for a while and Melbourne tried to do, the tanking and for draft picks. And it's just been proven in footy. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Culture's important.
Yeah, but, like, look at what Richmond did with, that a lot of those players aren't top draft picks. They've just play as a team. So, anyway.
Old-fashioned footy.
Old-fashioned footy, yeah. Just
If you want to hear more about how good Richmond are, you can go to Francis's.
Yes. So which one's the first one?
It is on the 20th of March.
Is that
Conrad,
the Richmond one?
Yellow
Conrad,
and black.
yeah. Get along
And
with
then
that one.
the week after is Martin Flanagan talking about the 2016 grand final.
That's
and then the week after is that guy from Royal Park Reds Cricket Club talking about how he left early in the 2015.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for doing one for my book too, Francis.
We had you last year.
You did. I did it last year. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll be back, I think, next week. We've got a few things lined up for next week. And go along and see Danny if you're in Brisbane over the
Even if
weekend.
you're not, just fly over.
Just fly to Brisbane.
Fly to Brisbane and see me. I'll say hi.
It's well worth it. Thanks, everyone.